Let's get started with our first news. Paddy Pimblett can't wait to retire so he can eat. This may sound like a joke, but for Paddy Pimblett, food is a serious passion, and making weight for his fights has always been one of the biggest challenges of his career. It's no secret that Pimblett winds up cutting a considerable amount of weight just to reach the lightweight non-title fight limit of 56 pounds. His transformation between camps is so drastic it's become one of the most talked about topics every time he competes. Although he appears to be putting more effort into keeping his weight down between fights lately, the baddie still ends up cutting a significant amount once training camp begins. Fans have seen him balloon up in size after his fights and then drop back down rapidly, something many believe could take a toll on his body in the long run. Still, that hasn't stopped Paddy from indulging in his love for food, pizza, burgers, desserts, you name it. As he explained during a recent video on his YouTube channel, Pimblett can't wait for the day when his MMA career is over and he can eat without restrictions. He openly admitted, "I look forward to the day where I don't have to diet, don't have to think about getting on a set of scales and having a fight with a set of scales. That fight with a scale for him seems even more intense than the ones he faces inside the Octagon." He went on to say that when he no longer has to cut weight, he has no idea how big he might actually get. When asked about what weight class he would naturally fall into, Paddy casually responded, "I don't know. If I don't have to get down, I'll be walking around at light heavyweight at least." That's a jump of 2 full divisions from where he competes now, and it speaks volumes about how much weight he typically cuts before stepping into the cage. While fans continue to debate the long-term effects of these extreme cuts and how sustainable they are for Pimblett's career, one thing is clear: his relationship with food isn't changing anytime soon. Some admire his honesty, while others worry it could affect his performance and longevity in the sport. Either way, Paddy has made it clear food is his ultimate joy and retirement means freedom. In the meantime, speculation continues to swirl around his next opponent. While nothing has been officially announced, Dan Hooker remains a name that keeps coming up in conversations. A fight between the baddie and Hooker would be a high-profile, action-packed clash, and fans are eager to see if it materializes. But until then, Pimblett's main goal seems to be keeping his weight under control, at least temporarily, until that sweet day of retirement finally arrives and he can eat whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your support really helps us grow and bring you even better content every single time. And of course, don't forget to leave your opinion in the comments. Let us know what you think we should improve next. Your feedback means a lot to us, and we're always listening. Thank you. Moving on to the second news, Renato Moicano talks about the RDR vs. Robert Whittaker decision. This past weekend, Reinier de Ridder secured a narrow but decisive split decision win over Robert Whittaker in a fight that shook up the middleweight rankings. The result pushed Whittaker, a former UFC champion and longtime top contender, out of the top 5 for the first time in over 5 years. It was a dramatic shift in the division, and it immediately sparked debate among fans, fighters, and analysts. While plenty of people across the MMA community agreed with the judge's decision, there was no shortage of controversy. Some, including Whittaker himself, felt that the bout should have gone in his favor. The fight was close, competitive, and filled with tactical exchanges, which made the final decision a tough pill to swallow for certain fans and especially for Team Whittaker. During the latest episode of Renato Moicano's Show Me the Money podcast, the always outspoken Moicano didn't hold back in sharing his view. The fan favorite said he believed the decision was absolutely fair. To me, it was not a hard fight to judge. I think it was an easy fight to score. I thought it was very clear 3-2 there, Moicano said confidently, leaving little room for doubt in his assessment. He explained his logic, saying, "I agree with that, because the 2 rounds that Robbie won, he dominated, but it wasn't enough to be a 10-8, so I think it was 2 rounds 10-9 to Rob, and 3 rounds 10-9 to RDR. According to Moicano, the math adds up, and although Whittaker had big moments, it just wasn't enough to get the job done across 5 rounds. Moicano also gave high praise to Reinier de Ridder's skill set, especially his grappling and clinch work. Bro, the guy is very good, very tricky with the clinch, with the takedowns. He has a chin, you know? Not the best striking, not like beautiful striking movement, but the guy, he paused before getting brutally honest. No, let's be honest. He just has the knee. The knee is very good. The timing on the knee is perfect, bro. He highlighted one of the fight's standout moments when Whittaker caught RDR with an overhand punch after timing that knee perfectly. That was perfect. But other than that, he's perfect with that. The guy can take, and the guy took a lot of punishment, bro. That's different. The guy can take a lot. While Whittaker wasn't thrilled about the outcome immediately after the fight, he showed class in defeat. In a follow-up video posted on Instagram, he gave RDR his props for executing a solid game plan and acknowledged that he would take the time to dissect the loss with his team. His focus now is on learning from the fight, making the right adjustments, and getting right back on the path toward title contention. Let's move on to another news. Dustin Poirier announces a new chapter post-retirement. After an incredible run in the UFC, Dustin Poirier is now stepping into a brand new phase of life, and he's doing it with the same passion and energy he brought to the cage. Poirier has officially hung up the gloves, but if anyone thought he'd be disappearing from the fight scene completely, they were mistaken. In fact, the Diamond is ready to get jacked post-retirement and has already invested in new equipment for his personal gym. Less than 2 weeks removed from what many believe was his final UFC bout, Poirier seems to have his post-fighting goals all lined up. One of those goals, hitting the weights harder than ever. With his training no longer dictated by fight camps or weight cuts, Poirier is excited about building strength and enjoying the freedom of training on his own terms. Fans have already seen glimpses of his upgraded gym setup, and it's clear he's serious about staying active and possibly even growing bigger physically now that making weight is no longer part of the equation. But gym gains aren't the only thing on Poirier's radar. The veteran fighter also appears to be eyeing a future in broadcasting. Back in April, Poirier tested the waters as a desk analyst for ESPN, working alongside Chael Sonnen during the UFC 314 broadcast. His performance was well received, and it seems to have lit a fire under him. For Poirier, this wasn't just a one-time gig. It may very well be the next big chapter of his professional life. Over the years, we've seen a number of UFC fighters transition successfully into broadcasting roles. Names like Alan Jouban and Michael Chassa have proven that you don't have to be a champion to make an impact behind the microphone. Then there are guys like Daniel Cormier and Paul Felder who've become household names in the commentary booth, providing insight with authenticity and experience that only former fighters can offer. Poirier looks ready to join that list. His calm demeanor, clear articulation, and deep knowledge of the fight game make him a natural fit for the analyst role. He even took to Twitter to share his enthusiasm, tweeting, "Looking forward to getting back on the ESPN desk. Gonna start focusing on that now." The message was simple but powerful. It showed that Poirier is not just exploring options, he's setting real intentions for what comes next. What's clear is that Dustin Poirier isn't slowing down. Retirement from competition doesn't mean retirement from the sport he loves. Whether he's lifting heavy, helping young fighters behind the scenes, or breaking down fights on TV, Poirier's influence will still be felt. His journey may be evolving, but his connection to MMA remains strong. Fans can look forward to seeing him not only bulk up, but grow in new ways as he carves out this next chapter with purpose and passion. Let's move on to another topic. Dominic Reyes believes he won the first 3 rounds in his fight against Jon Jones. It's been more than 4 years since that highly debated light heavyweight title bout, but for Dominic Reyes, the memory of that night in 2020 remains fresh. Reyes went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest fighters in UFC history, Jon Jones, and while the official result was a unanimous decision win for Jones, many, including Reyes himself, still believe the fight should have gone the other way. In the eyes of fans, media, and fighters alike, that bout was one of the closest and most controversial in Jones's storied career. Reyes brought relentless pressure in the early rounds and looked sharper than ever. During a recent appearance on Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo's pound-for-pound show, Reyes revisited the fight and firmly stated that he won the first 3 rounds without question. All 3, first 3, easily, he said with conviction. First 3, he had nothing for me. He might have landed 2 punches in all 3 of those rounds. According to Reyes, those rounds were clearly his, and the way he controlled the pace range and striking exchanges gave him the upper hand from the opening bell. Reyes went on to break down the later rounds as well. Rounds 4 and 5, he took me down. He took me down 4 and 5, but I got up in 1.5 seconds. Like, now that counts as nothing. He took me down, wasted energy, I got up and then outed him. In Reyes' opinion, the takedowns Jones scored didn't have real impact, and he believes that kind of short-lived control shouldn't outweigh the damage he was able to do throughout the fight. One fascinating insight Reyes shared was how he prepared for one of Jones' most controversial techniques, his frequent use of eye pokes. Reyes credited Oven Saint Pro with teaching him a clever tactic. As soon as Jones stuck his fingers out, Reyes would throw hammer fists at his hands to stop them from extending toward his eyes. It was a small but tactical adjustment, and it showed how thoroughly Reyes had studied his opponent. Beyond the technicalities, Reyes offered a broader perspective on what it takes to fight Jon Jones. Don't let him dictate the pace. If he wants to stand there, attack him. If he wants to attack you, move. He wants to grapple, break the grapple. He wants to strike, kick him. He emphasized that Jones isn't just a physical talent, he's a genius fighter. He's so good at making you fight his fight, Reyes said. That's what makes him dangerous. Still, despite the outcome, Reyes walked away from that fight with confidence in his performance. Now, with a potential win over Carlos Ulberg on the horizon, he could find himself back in the title conversation. One big victory might be all it takes for Reyes to reclaim his place among the elite and perhaps get a second shot at the gold he believes should already be his. Now let's move on to some wild news. Khamzat Chimaev wanted $700,000 from a streamer. That's right, if you want Khamzat Chimaev, also known as Bars, to appear in your stream or feature in your content, it sounds like you're gonna have to fork over a staggering amount of money. Recently, popular streamer Aiden Ross revealed a jaw-dropping story that left fans both stunned and amused. According to Ross, he tried to arrange a potential collaboration with Chimaev through a mutual contact, only to be met with an offer that seemed almost too absurd to believe. Sharing the story on stream, Ross said, "I actually want to tell you something really funny. I don't care. Might air it out," he continued. Prismile. Oh god. Like I connected Prismile with someone from Khamzat's team. And the guy said $700,000 to stream with Khamzat. I never laughed so hard in my life. The reaction was immediate, shock, disbelief, and of course laughter. What the? Yeah, it was insane. $700K, Ross said, emphasizing just how ridiculous the request sounded to him. Naturally, this bold asking price caught the attention of the combat sports world. One of the first to respond was UFC star Michael Chandler, who chimed in on Twitter with a playful jab. "Yo Aiden Ross, I'll go on your stream for way less than $700K, Chandler tweeted, showing that while he's a serious competitor in the cage, he's also got a sense of humor outside of it. Now, was the $700,000 demand legitimate? Some people believe it might have just been a negotiation tactic or a case of someone from Chimaev's team trying to shoot for the stars, especially knowing that Ross is reportedly rolling in cash. With his massive online following and high-profile connections, it's not hard to imagine Ross being able to afford big figures, though $700K is definitely on the extreme end. Others, however, argue that Chimaev can make those kinds of demands, and here's why. He's become a major star in the world of MMA. With his undefeated record, aggressive fighting style, and a loyal fan base that spans the globe, Chimaev has carved out a brand that brings value far beyond just fighting. When he talks, people listen. When he fights, people tune in. So for someone like Bors, 7 figures for a single appearance might not be completely out of reach. Case in point, before his highly anticipated fight with Robert Whittaker last October, Chimaev openly addressed his financial situation. He said, "I'm happy with the money. I'm making more money than any champions. Money is not changing me. People will be the same. I'm staying humble as I was before." That statement gives insight into how confident he is not just in the cage, but in his value outside of it. So what do you make of this situation? Is it confidence, craziness, or just smart business? Either way, $700K for a stream appearance is something only a few can even think about demanding, and Khamzat Chimaev is clearly one of them. Let's go to our final news story. Khamzat's cardio is not a problem, according to Brendan Shaw. Throughout his career, Khamzat Chimaev has largely been viewed as a fighter who comes out with a bang, before looking less dominant in the later rounds. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to support the channel. While Chimaev proved his cardio by going 3 rounds with Gilbert Burns in 2022 and 3 rounds with Kamaru Usman in 2023, lingering questions about his cardio have remained, especially with his upcoming 5-round UFC 319 main event against Dricus du Plessis. According to Brendan Schaub, however, Chimaev's cardio won't be an issue come August 16th. During a recent episode of the JRE Fight Companion podcast, he weighed in. "I was a fan of Khamzat, I've been on his train for a little bit, but the knock on him was the cardio, right? Which, he had all those issues with his lungs. That's completely fixed now. And then seeing him in here, it's like, God, he's such a monster." But that being said, against DDP, DDP is like Khamzat's big, right? Khamzat's big. DDP is eye size. The odds makers are gonna say first round, of course. If Khamzat wins, it ends before 2 rounds, it's Khamzat all day. I would extend that after seeing this to even the first 3 rounds. 4 and 5 is what I want to see. I want to see Khamzat in the 4th and 5th. And if Khamzat is lighting him up, because DDP is gonna be tough to finish, then if Khamzat finishes him in the 4th or 5th, then we got one. We got a real one. Based on the latest betting odds, it seems fans believe that if Chimaev gets the win, it'll be early in the fight with bettors backing DDP if the bout goes the distance. And that wraps up today's news.